second.
I got it. We should be recording. Added both in. All right, guys. Let's get this campfire started. It's great seeing the public interest. You guys are, awesome that you've all gotten in here. We always appreciate it. Hopefully we'll get a couple, usual VIPs coming through. I know Nemo's busy with his own projects. We'll just kind of do the layout. I've got a couple talking points, but kind of like the guys, this is largely, a community thing. The campfire, the stage, the way it works is there's obviously, at least the three of us up here on stage. If you want to participate in the audio aspect, you can certainly raise your hand at the bottom of the screen. There's a little hand raised icon. We'll see that you wish to join the conversation, and we can allow you up to participate in the conversation. If for some reason you don't want to, or it's just a fleeting thought, you can also use the Campfire chat that's available inside of the Discord panel on the left-hand side. By all means, you can have little side conversations, or just throw out a little comment up to us, and we'll definitely read it in. I'll keep my eye on it. This is started off as a project that we did in Nemo's server, and it hit off really well. And I kind of felt, and he agreed that it's a good idea to move the campfire here, because while Nemo has his stuff and his brand, if you will, this is a Diablo Immortal campfire. So we're going to now house it here, and it's largely driven, by Owl, Wads, and myself. We kind of cover the news that's happened in the last couple of weeks. Obviously, this week's been a big one. Whenever we've got something going on, and then a lot of just conversation that goes around with it, whether it's stuff we know, stuff we think we know, and then if you guys have any little planned conversations or comments, we can certainly entertain them. But a lot of this is focused around what the Immortal is, Diablo Immortal is, as far as what we've seen and heard. So by all means, again, if anyone wants to join us up on stage, again, you can raise your hand in the UI down at the bottom. And if you want just to kind of throw in a little text conversation because you're listening only, you can utilize the Campfire chat. Usually I have that set to notify me, as always. And I apologize if there's any background noise on my side. Like I said, I'm not exactly in an ideal situation. So, obviously, we are all really super excited about Diablo Immortal. We've been waiting and waiting, for the last 2.5, 3 years almost, it feels like, for this game. A couple of us, a good number of us, have had access into one or multiple testings, and we've had some great experiences, but now we're a little over a month away, and everyone has access. Obviously there's most people are going to get access on June 2nd. There's a couple specifically Pacific areas that are going to get it in the weeks following. Obviously the other big pieces are, the access. There's, obviously Android and iOS are, big on there. They've nailed down some of the requirements to get in there, which is, great. And in some cases, they broadened out on the iOS side. I keep hearing on Android, it's tightened. People are like, I've got 6 gigs of RAM. How come I can't run this? It's usually because of chipsets. But it's one of those that's getting pinned down and hopefully broaden it out. Like the guys were talking about this morning, we have the computer PCs now up and running. Macs not yet, but I imagine that's going to be onboarding in the not too distant future. And then moreover, I hear lots of questions and speculations of, what about Linux? What about Steam Deck? Because that's Linux, it runs on Linux. And a couple other consoles. It's one of those. Obviously, no one knows anything. I don't know if Blizzard necessarily intends on it, but that's kind of the big summary. Is obviously the PC side. So I'll kind of start off some of the questions there. Owl and Wad, and by all means, again, everyone else, you can throw something into the chat if you have anything you want to add in. What's some input on the PC? The guys brought up, we'll say some concerns that, cheating and botting and all that wonderful jazz. Is that something you guys are really concerned with? Do you think PC folks will have an edge over the rest of us?
Myself, if you watch the Echo video and Huma video, I'm kind of in that camp. I think that as far as advantage, I don't see too much advantage. Solely because the game was designed for mobile use, and if you did get a chance to play in alpha and beta using touchscreen, using your fingers on the glasses, it's very smooth. The reactions are quick, and it works really well. I definitely don't think that someone using a controller would have faster reaction. And also, I don't think it would be easier via computer. And I played many games in the past, so that's just my thoughts. I don't know what Al thinks.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not too concerned about bots and cheaters. You're going to have people attempt that on any platform. So I think Blizzard's on top of their anti-cheating tactics. So that's not really a concern. As far as advantage, I could see PC arguing, well, I have, what was it, a 49-inch monitor, I think was what they talked about in their videos. Certainly you could see a lot more real estate, so maybe that gives you a one-up on mobile as far as finding maybe legendary mobs or events on the screen or possibly PvP. But again, I don't really care, and I'm strictly mobile. I want to play it as it was intended on my phone, and that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, it's one of those. I know I look at it that, I've had people ask, what about, Bluetooth controllers? Which controller should I use? And I usually respond back with something that, well, here's the ones they said they supported. But it's like, it's all going to come down to like who you are. And some people are going to be diehard controller fans, and they're not going to like a controller and a 6-inch screen. I'm definitely assuming that there's going to be those people that like, no, I want, my large monitor, ultra high def with, every pixel possible. And I get that. And it's going to be a beautiful game. I'd want that too. But I was like, on the other side with the controllers, I was like, just don't forget, some of the skills are, like they're directable, where you can run to the right and fire to the top left, we'll say. And, you need to be able to either account for controlling that, or, you don't have that advantage. The one advantage that I think would definitely go in favor of PC folks is like I said, just screen real estate. They can see more, see wider ranges, so they might have a small advantage over, killing mobs or, PvP. Would be the only thing I could think of. But it's definitely not to me, a big game changer. And the hackers and bots, like you said, I heard plenty of reports, even in beta, of, people that were, had spam attack bots, and they would just camp locations. I don't know if Blizzard caught up on anything or even did anything about that. But I know that's definitely something that they've had to deal with in the past.
Did you happen to catch what that person said in, I think, general chat earlier about the main reason they wanted to switch to PC or incorporate PC is because they already have good anti-cheat mechanisms in place. And you seem to have some in-depth knowledge on that. I don't know if you saw what he said.
I did see it a little bit, and I definitely agree. I mean, Blizzard has a lot of knowledge on the anti-cheat stuff. You know, that they've obviously been doing this for, you know, well more than 2 decades, and you can't knock that experience. And even if you look at their software tool sets, or if you look at job applications, you know, their job postings that they have out, it's like they're constantly looking for developers on those to develop out those tools. You know, and it's not that they're going to catch everything. There's always going to be something that you know slips through, or they're going to have, you know, false positives and you know, ban accounts that are actually human. But I know I said once to somebody that's like, well, you know, the thing is with bots, like people that use bots or people that design bots generally don't do it with we'll say the highest caliber, you know, intelligence or estimates or whatever. You know, I could click something 3 times a second. A bot might click it 300 times a second. It's a little obvious, you know, which one's a bot. You know, and it's one of those, I know that's a very rude, crude statement to make, but those are things that I know I've seen, even in my job, you know, where we have to deal with bots once in a while. And, you know, I can tell you when an account is using a bot versus not, just because of the speed at which they do it is, you know, is absolutely superhuman.
Yeah,
Kind of scrolling.
I myself in beta did actually come across someone using a spam bot when I was in the Immortals. He was sitting there just pressing the spam button outside of the raid the vault on the Immortal side, so that as soon as it popped, he would get in, and then his character would just sit there. It didn't matter if he died; you still get, you know, you could still get the possibility of honor. So, so that's what he did for probably a full day, and then I think someone mentioned something to him, and he stopped.
Yeah. I'll give you some credit there, MP9. You're absolutely totally right. Makes the comment, I don't get hackers in a game where you can't even trade loot. You know, and you know, it's true. Like, I almost wonder, is there a benefit to something like that? You know, about the only benefit of having like a bot like that is in PvP, like you said, where you know, someone is camping out a spawn point, and you know, they're just spamming. Or if you're waiting for, you know, the Hydra to pop up in a world event, where all you need to do to get credit for killing the Hydra is land 1 hit, you know, and having a bot stand there and just swipe at the one space until the Hydra spawns. You know, I mean, there's little things, but it's all, you know, achievement related instead of you know, points. In PvP, though, I mean, you do get points if my memory serves, you know, for doing things like kills and hits. It's not as effective, you know, to have a bot stand there and just swipe. You'll get, you know, shot every time. But you're right. There's definitely a question of, you know, what's the benefit?
Well, the thing about the raid the vault is, you know, it was so hard to. There was no queue on the Immortal side, so the only way to get in was as soon as you saw that Shadows were raiding the vault and it presented the event, you would click and join as fast as you could. So that person would always get in first, followed by 3 more people. And so if those 3 Immortals were able to defeat the 4 Shadows by themselves, the person that was in the vault just spam clicking would still get credit. So you'd still get credit for the for being in there. So that was an issue.
Yeah, but I know it sounds like they've also, you know, done a lot of tweaks on that, you know, where now you do have to queue to get in. You do have, you know, I've heard on both sides for the Shadows too, like there's a cooldown that was enacted, you know, after raid the vaults, you know, so that if I started a raid, I had to wait a certain amount of time before I could join the next raid. which I know for some people was really annoying, because at least for myself, like if I only had 45 minutes to myself to do this, like I want to get them out of the way as fast as possible. But I get why, they didn't want people that just stood there and spammed getting in. But so obviously now that we have, an end date, what are we looking forward to? What is it and this is largely out to everyone as well. What are we looking forward to doing in the next, 4 weeks between now and there? Like, what are we, looking to hear? What do we want to, what questions do we still have? Obviously, there's a lot. Cheesy Frank already threw in servers. I know there's a lot of unknowns, whether it's inside the Scrappy Echo side, and some of those unknowns are related to what we still need to get from Blizzard. Like, we don't know server lists, we don't know, like clan sizes. Like, I don't know if anyone caught that, and I've shared it a couple times, but like, there's still, sounds like internal discussion, about clans, being clan sizes. In alpha and beta, it was 150 people were in a clan, or 150 characters were in a clan. Now I've read a couple times since beta, they might even switch that down to 100. No one really has a definitive, like, what is it going to be? I've seen it 150 more often, but like I said, I got even from Wyatt that number of 100, because that was in a recent post. Yeah, Switch.
Yeah.
Switch. That's the video that was on Game Informer. That was Wyatt that actually said it's flat out as 100 people.
Yeah, so I mean, the servers, they did come out and say they actually would release server information closer to launch, right? I forget who said it. Was it Tez or Wyatt? I can't remember, but one of them did mention that. And then as far as the clan side, yeah, I've been hearing the same things you are, that it's either going to be 100 or 150, and there's a bunch of debate going on right now. So that we'll just have to wait and see. But I can tell you what I'm most excited to see is I want another blog post, because I know another blog post is coming, and I want to see the changes to Cycle of Strife, because I have a feeling that is going to change pretty drastically from beta. And then also I would like to see what they're going to do to clans. I also think clans will get a lot of features added in that weren't in beta and alpha, because at one point they did mention that they wanted clans to be more inviting and have be more rewarding as well. So I think that's coming in the next blog post.
So let's actually talk through some of that a little bit before I go. Owl, did you have something to chime in on?
Yeah, just what I was looking forward to. It's completely different from Wads would think, but for me, it's knowing or wanting to know how they're addressing ORDR gems, legendary gems, because that for me was a big issue. Now, I didn't play in beta, but I watched playing in videos. I'm curious to see if they're going to revert that back to gear like they did back in alpha, or if it's going to stay on legendary gems, and if it is, are they going to modify in such a way that isn't going to allow whales to have a ridiculous amount of ORDR, well above what anyone who's free to play or a light spender could earn, in a reasonable.
Yeah. Well, I know so far what we've seen anyway on ORDR, I've seen this in a couple pictures. It looks like they're rebranding it as what's it? Crit rating?
Combat rating.
Yeah, combat. Right. It was a CR, so combat rating. So they're certainly looking into that. And it's one of those, like, that'll be some interesting questions. I've only seen it mentioned in gear as combat rating. We haven't seen anything as far as legendary gems. I'm assuming that they're definitely going to take that into consideration, certainly.
So I can add a little something. I can add a little something to that, Owl, if you haven't seen those pictures. So if you remember from Legendary Gems, they had at the top they had like plus 15 to like your main stats, and that's basically what contributed to your offensive defense rating. But also below that in the gym it had this gym does like maybe 10% increase to your base stat. So if it was a weapon and you had like a level, or you had a 1-star gym, I forget what the percentage is, it would be like a 3% increase to your base stat. So if you're, which on your weapon would be damage, correct? On your legs and chest would be life. But when you got up to the 5-star gyms, those gyms would have like 30%, 33, 35% base stat increase on whatever your character slot was, whatever your gear slot was, whether it be legs, chest, helmet, weapon. And that's really what made a huge difference in stats that you saw from people who paid money and really got a lot of 5-star gyms and leveled them up high. They'd have like 35% increase to their base stats, which is just crazy. And from the pictures that I've seen, it looks like they took that out. So, I mean, I can't confirm that. It just looks like that because the screenshots they weren't very good pictures, but I don't see that in there, and hopefully they took it out.
I know that's going to be something else that people are going to be, looking at the meta on. So let's kind of do a rundown, of, as I was saying about the clans and dark houses a little bit, and we'll kind of start with the very very top. So Undumil, well, you asked kind of the question, so I'm going to kind of start with you as far as servers, sizes, and all this stuff. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of unknowns.
Hey, Red, real quick. Sorry, I brought Into Darkness up the chat. I don't know if he had a question or something to address in the previous thing. Did you have anything, Into Darkness?
Yeah, how you guys doing? My main question is not about the game itself, but it's about the community. I know you guys are super organized. Everything looks great on Discord and everything. Just I wanted to see if you guys want to put something out there, what's going on behind the scenes, and when the game actually is released, what the process is for clan formation and for I know a lot of people are gonna want to switch clans because of either time zones or personalities or level of play. So what kind of process do you guys have in place to address that? Otherwise things can get very chaotic very quickly. I've been in plenty of clans and guilds in other games where things just kind of fall apart because things aren't as clear cut or organized. So on Discord it looks great. Just wondering if you guys have what you guys have behind the scenes going on in terms of further organization and process. Thanks.
Yeah, no, I was actually going to handle that, that same type of question, because I know that's going to be big with everybody. And certainly thank you for the question. And a lot of people have that exact same concern. It's going to come down to a huge amount of communication. And we actually just had a meeting earlier today, on the leadership side. And there will be a lot more regional based conversations to address those types of things. So, like I said, Domil asked about regional servers. You went the next layer down and asked about clans they're in. And being certain you're kind of set up in the teams, and that's what we're actually trying to do right now. So like we've actually started with adding people into the regional families, so that we can start addressing the roster question. As far as who's in, we'll just say Clan A, Clan B, and Clan C, just for label's sake. And, whether it's going to be, groupings or whatnot, we're starting that process now. I mean, that's why, we're starting to see people with the SE badge, the clan members badge in Discord. If you haven't yet, you definitely want to hop on to the reserve your spot form. You can look for there's a banner definitely in general chat that's got the video from Scrappy, and underneath the or just above the video picture, there's a Google form. Go in so we can start sorting you out, into each of the geographic regions. And then once we get, okay, there's round numbers, 400 people in the US. All right, we know that's going to be probably 4 clans. Let's start figuring out how that's going to break down. And we'll get all that communicated out to through the leadership to the individuals, so that you guys, will know and can coordinate. Because I know one of the things that clearly we're doing now is, we're trying to make a community, open chat, open forum. You guys can ping, Echo and Nemo with any questions, send them DMs. Obviously, Wad and I and Owl are very much in the middle of this, and we want you guys to be comfortable with where they are, and open DMs again. And that's also going to go down to like the leadership that you guys can talk, and we'll say you've been identified as like, I'm a Shadow clan. Well, I don't want to be Shadow. I really want to try for the Immortal. Let's move you. Or like you said, the just the dynamics of the team, the clan that you're in, like you just aren't getting along with some people, whatever the reason. Like, fine, we can move you. We can find you a new clan, or when it comes to servers, all we know so far officially is the servers are going to be set up WoW-like, so whether that means, one server for assorted geographic regions, or if it's going to be like what Marvel Revolution, and I can't think of the full name, I know that's not it, where they had, multiple servers that we could all join. We obviously want to get into that same vein, and ideally, in my mind, if there was one server, it makes it easy, but if there's 80 servers around the world, then first priority is ping level. So if you're in the EU, join the EU, if that makes sense. NA, join the NA. If you want to be in the other one, we're not going to stop you. And then once you're in the region, then we start, putting you into rosters. So again, you guys, everyone get into those, the roster interest form, and we will get you put into the clans, at least at a high level. And then the leadership will say, okay, we're all going to go into, server A. We all do that. And now, you need to look for, here's your clan leader. And as soon as that clan leader has it set up, which involves a little bit of platinum, then we get it done, and we can all just jump right in. And, we already have action plans as far as, allowing access. And, you guys, especially if you do that interest form, you're going to get that first round access. You've got the highest priority to get in there. And then after that, you're on the fence, or someone slept on filling out the form, then we're going to do we'll do regular applications. So I mean, we're still going to have open applications, but the process is going to be a little bit different. So to answer your questions that I'm kind of going back on, there's certainly lots of levels, and we're trying to put everyone ultimately into appropriate places, and we also want to do it in the best way possible. And we know everyone knows where they're going, and they know at least one person, if not 6 people, that they can definitely message and say, hey, I want to know where I'm going. And we all have a shared Google Doc where we know this person is in this server, and their leader and their clan is this, and the leaders are these people, as our action plan. Just because, again, we want to be hopefully transparent, even if possible. Here is the Google list, and you guys could read through it if you really had to. That kind of answer your question, Darkness?
Oh yeah. I'm sure you guys are doing a lot in the background. I just wanted to see what was going on. So no, it sounds great. And as more issues pop up, I'm sure you guys will be on top of things. You guys have been playing games for years, just like the rest of us.
Yeah, no, we definitely have. And I know the other side, other questions I'm seeing in here, like, server capacities. Obviously, that's something that, we'll have to be concerned with. But at least based on alpha and beta, which is the only thing I can go on, they advertise, tens of thousands of people. And I think even in our wildest dreams, we might hit half of that in our wildest dreams, but then again, we're up over, last I saw, 1,200 people here. But that's also 1,200 across the world. I don't know if we could, necessarily hit 1,200 in just one server, at least, as far as setup orchestrations. And then even then, the next layer becomes, what if I'm already playing the game where, in the middle of June and my buddy wants to join in. We have recruitment processes already that they've used in other games successfully, to onboard new people. So it's not like, they have to be involved with this right now to even be considered.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, there will be a point, maybe a few days before launch, where we will put out a full roster, and it won't just be like your shadow clan or your immortal clan in a immortal clan shadow clan. It won't be like that. It will be specific. It will be. We think we will know by then how many people will be in each clan, so it'll be very specific. It'll be your shadow clan 1. We don't really have a name yet. And it'll show 100 people for shadow clan 1. You'll know who to contact, and it should go smoothly.
But yeah, so we'll kind of start, go back to the next layer. We've been talking about shadows and immortals. And actually, Wad, this might be a good segue for that announcement you put in, as we were doing some of the clan members. As far as shadows, immortals, adventurers, because I know lots of people, as I was going through the list, put down either multiple ones because they don't really care. I'll go shadow or immortal, whatever's, appealing to me. And then there were lots of people that were like, I got no idea. Or, I want to be this faction. And we kind of made an executive decision a little bit, for some people anyway. We definitely pigeoned people where they wanted to go. So, Wad, can you speak to, kind of what we know about the shadows, immortals, from the faction side?
Sure, yeah, I'll try to keep it pretty brief too. So, most of y'all probably already know the background, but so I'll skip that. But Shadows, it's also been frequently asked questions. If you want to go look, but Shadows is just it's a fun it's fun events that you get to do, and I think you start Shadow at level 30, somewhere late 30s, I believe, is when you start doing. You're introduced to Shadows, right, and Immortals, and it's all in the quest line. In the Shadows, it doesn't take as much time as Immortal takes, and everyone has to start Shadows, right? You can choose not to join Shadow, but then you are considered an adventurer faction. But from everything we know right now, the adventurer faction won't have any benefits. So we don't see. We will probably have a plan for something like that, but we don't see many people wanting to stay adventurer. So you'll get introduced to the Shadow faction in Immortal. Everyone starts off Shadows. The clans will start as a Dark clan, and that's assigned by your leader. So as soon as the leader joins the Dark clan, you will become a Shadow. And it's just it's cool events like Path of Blood, which is basically like you versus it's basically you in an arena. You get ported into arena, and it's you versus the mobs, or it's you versus the boss. And it has different levels, and each level gets consecutively harder. So that's fun. And then you get Raid the Vault, where you get with your clan members or teams or people you know, and you go try to steal Essentia and it's basically currency from the Immortals. It's basically like sabotaging the Immortals. That's really fun. And then you also have the dailies, which are called contracts. and you do one a day, and they're essentially extended quests. They're a lot of fun. It takes probably, I don't know, 8 minutes to 10 minutes, maybe a little less, but they also are more rewarding. There's a lot of times where you'll get a legendary drop, sometimes two legendary drops from doing a contract, a daily contract. And then as far as the immortal side, the only way you can become immortal is to be in the top 10 dark clans and participate in basically like a battleground against immortals. And then if the shadows win, you have to win 6 out of the 10 battles, right? To overthrow the immortals. If you come at that point, the number 1 clan will become immortal, and they'll form an alliance with two other clans. And so, from what we know now, 3 clans will ascend to immortal status, and then basically it will just repeat. Then after that happens, the cycle will start all over, and it will give 3 new clans the opportunity to overthrow immortals. This Immortals is very involved. It's a lot of fun, but you have, I think, 9 or 10 daily quests you need to do every day. You have to contribute. There's also the Keon's Ordeal, which is where you go in and you fight 4 different raid bosses at the same time, and you split up into different groups. That's a lot of fun. And then there's also you have to defend against the shadows in the Raid the Vault. So if Raid the Vault's triggered by shadows, the immortals get to go into the vault and try to defend against the shadows. So that's pretty much a decent overview.
Yeah, and that pretty much summarizes it. And it's one of those, like, you know, on all of those fronts, you know, the shadows, you can have people that are very active shadows and people that are less active shadows. And I think that's where, you know, MP9 is, you know, saying that, you know, most people will definitely fall into the shadows. And as we saw in beta, that's absolutely true, especially when, and I really hope this kind of gets fixed in some way, the only way for you to not be a shadow is at the end of the immortal reign. So the immortals either are overthrown, you know, is the only way that you stopped being a shadow, and you became the immortal, or everyone became an adventurer. But you know, generally speaking, whenever that happened, the people that became an adventurer almost immediately pushed to be a shadow again. You know, they did their won the lottery, got their signet, and you know, joined the shadows, because it's just one of those, like, it was so much fun. You know, it was a good environment. And then the other side, just to add in, you know, as far as the immortality, you know, I know that's one of the things that I always look for about it, that it's not the strongest person. It's not going to be a whale necessarily that, you know, will be in the immortals. That doesn't guarantee anything. You really, really, really need to be a team player, because even one of those, especially to hold it for very long, you know, in order to make the immortals, generally speaking, you're going to need a collection of clans around you to help make you an immortal. I mean, you know, we all saw that in alpha and beta, or in alpha rather. You know, I remember sitting and watching streams and watching Echo Hack make, you know, logistics of like, okay, we're going to get everybody in one clan, and we're going to overthrow the NPC immortals. It'll be really easy. And they lost. And then they realized that, oh, well, you can't do this in one clan. You need a whole clan. You need multiple clans to actually get this done. You need to orchestrate things. And it's really interesting. And even to the point of, like, Cayenne's Ordeal. It's not just, you know, once you're an immortal, it's not just slay 4 great bosses. You actually have to slay all 4 of them within a very tight window. Otherwise, the first one will respawn bigger and badder, and it's, you know, more of a challenge. So you actually have to orchestrate a lot of things. And even same when they're talking about the battlegrounds to you know, keep the immortality. You know, you have to orchestrate who's doing what to make certain you keep your victories. So it's one of those that was actually something that people don't really appreciate. And I know whenever I hear the comments about pay to win, pay to win, pay to win, I don't think it is, because, you know, you really need someone that's, you know, has a community around them, has the support of a lot of people, you know. And Wadum, I think your question about what region, that was, you know, I know it was Echo Hacks, and I think it was, you know, region 2 or whatever it was in the alpha. You know, so that was definitely something. Oh no, never mind. You're talking about glass now.
Yeah, yeah.
Looking. So I know that was something that was, you know, something it's going to be very interesting. And I see another comment in here from MP6. You know, a clan of having barbarians, you know, just for one. You can't just have like everyone being the same too. Everyone has to be cross supportive, you know. Is the other side that you can't just have, you know, a clan full of crusaders who are, you know, probably some of the best types of well-rounded, easy to use tunes, but they don't get the same buffs as everyone else, which is definitely something fun to watch. I see Captain Nemo typing in the chat. I don't know if he's joining us now. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely like it's really interesting to you know, get that group around, which is again some of the ideas, you know, that we have here that, you know, maybe. I mean, myself, I don't necessarily want to go into the Immortals. I really prefer the Shadows. You know, but I'll definitely help any of you guys, you know, that are in the Immortal clan. I'll, you know, help overthrow, you know, just to make certain you get there, because it's definitely a lot of fun. I'm trying to make certain that we have everyone.
Did we answer? I want to make sure we answered on Demille's question, right, about servers and capacities, and if I think you did, right?
Yeah, as I know, you know, which ones we don't know exactly regional servers. Unfortunately, there's a lot of things we don't know. And as soon as we do, we'll, you know, definitely get it communicated out. And it's one of those, you know, I don't have any special access other than, you know, open Twitters. But, you know, as soon as it's knowledge, we'll definitely get it out to you guys. And chat's busier than normal, so it's hard to keep up.
So I have a topic I can throw in there real quick. See what everyone thinks. But you know, they switched in beta. It was for sets. It was 3 set bonus and 6 set bonus. Now it's going to be 2 set bonus, 4 set bonus, and 6 set bonus. So my question is, are you happy with the change? Do you like it? What do you think it adds? And do you think the meta will be, you know, 2, 2, and 2, or 4 and 2, or a full 6? What do you guys think? Oh, there he is. There's Captain. What do you guys think? Y'all like that change?
I think it opens up a nice window of opportunity for diversifying your builds. I mean, who knows what they're going to do to tweak the set bonuses to each of those, but I mean, I can only imagine if, you know, if there's like 3 that are really good for maybe a hybrid build, you could run 2, 2, and 2, or 4 and 2 if you're more focused on. So I think it's definitely, I think it opens up more customization to your class. You're not kind of pigeonholed into, oh, well, now I got to get a 6 piece because it has this bonus for it. I could do like a 2 and 4 and maybe come close, but also pick up something else.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I'm sneaking out of work for just like 10 minutes. I was like, I'll be back. I just got to go for a walk. So I'll jump into this question because I'm not sure if I have a chance to answer others. I love this change. This is awesome. From 3 to 6 to 2 to 4, 2, 4, 6. That's look how much more depth that is, right? And that's secondary gear too. We also have legendaries, and then we have the essence transfers in between the legendaries, as well as the actual legendary gems and other pieces that are changing the skills themselves. It's like the amount of depth that is in this build, and from what I've heard, there's so much more coming, right? Because the whole idea of sets, at first, sets were a bit when we were playing, a lot of the sets were kind of gated, right, by that 10 gate level, where by the time you're actually you got to the set that you wanted, you almost didn't want to use it anymore because you were ready for the next set of gear. They're very much working on trying to make sure that that is not the case. Like that you get a set and you actually use it the whole time you're leveling, that it doesn't become a waste anymore. And the whole idea of having certain set pieces be in the highest difficulty, that's really cool, right? Because I was really frustrated a lot of times not knowing where I need to go to like complete my set. There's going to be a lot more sets. So the idea of just like pushing for highest difficulty to try to get more set items in there, it's just really cool. There's so much diversity. It's so much bigger than D3. I was talking to Echo about it before. That's a whole different conversation. But anyway, I'm really excited about it. I'll shut up.
Yeah, no, I think that 246, definitely offers the ability to design builds a little bit better. I know the one thing that I was watching Nine Ball's stream a couple weeks ago, when he was talking about the skill trees for Diablo 3, and I brought up that I think at least as of beta there was skill trees to an extent with Paragon, but a lot of people ended up going the same way, and there wasn't a lot of customization. And I definitely think with the 246, it allows for some more flexibility, and I know it was frustrating for that, part of me that was like, I want to collect all of the pieces. I want to complete the sets, where it's like, I wasn't far enough into Hell 3 to be able to grind, for gear pieces, or I wasn't even touching Hell 4. But it definitely makes it, a lot more fun where, you can keep grinding for pieces and, even keep grinding for better pieces. I know, I made a point through beta, like I kept all of my set pieces. I didn't salvage any of them just because I wanted to see what they all look like at the end, because it being the new set or the new devices added in. And that was really neat to see my stats change where, I might have had a really good 2 stat that completed a set that was light years ahead of a really poorly rolled 3 stat on a new set. Because I wasn't getting some of those overlapping, 3-6 combos, which was just fun to really look at and play with a little bit. And I realized that, some set pieces were really good for PvP, some were better for PvE, some were better for, certain use cases. So I think with this design, we'll actually get it a little bit better where, you can have more flexibility.
And tough choices too. That's important. And they actually mentioned that as well. Like the whole idea of, do I want to complete my 6 piece because it's going to give you like a really cool extra bonus at the end? Or do I want to mix them up and get a bunch of 2s for that single bonus, that's going to be cool. I can't wait. There's going to be a lot of choices in there. I don't know. Lots of builds.
What would you guys think about an essence transfer feature for set pieces? So it operate very similar to legendaries, but for set pieces.
I bet they won't do that because that will make you grind less, right? Because I know that they're forcing you to make sure, like the whole idea of getting a set piece is random and it's difficult to bring up the RNG, so it pushes you to grind and get to higher difficulties. But it's a good point. I wonder.
I mean, you still have to grind for like a 3 stat versus a 2 stat. But I mean, you always want to get the better and better versions of that. So I mean, you're still going to have to farm for it, but at least you can roll your set bonus over to whatever item you have equipped. So I could maybe see them implement that at some point in the future. I don't think that would be at launch, but I think it could be kind of neat down the road.
Yeah, very true.
And Simon, you're asking a very good question, and that opens a big can of worms. Why not a 3 stat green? And you would think a 3 stat is always better than a 2 stat. You would really, really think so. You'll find out, and I know Nemo's done videos. They don't all roll the same. They don't all make themselves equal. When you're talking about stats, you're talking health, strength, dexterity, intelligence, which impact your individual build. But when we talk about rolls, you know, a 2-stat might get you a combined, you know, 80 points split over 2 at, we'll say, 40 and 40. But a 3-stat might only give you 65 points split over 3, you know, and it becomes a smaller boost to fewer items, which, again, going to Nemo's point, like, you want to roll because, you know, you'll find out as you do your grinding, you might get a really, really good 2-star or 2-stat gear that, you know, boosts you up, like I said, 80 points in the end. And you know, you may not see anything better than that for a very long time, and you know it's out there because you're finding 3-stats that are worse. So there's got to be a 3-stat that's better, and you're going to keep grinding and you're going to keep looking for it in the dungeon. You know, and I know that was my retort the other day yesterday to the Diablo Immortal chat about raiding dungeons. I was like, raid all the dungeons, because that's all you do, and it's just so much fun, you know, trying to get the random rolls. But there's a lot of it's a really complex system, you know, to your point about, you know, just D3. Like, it is, D3 may be an older and more established game, but this is almost a deeper game, you know, in complexity. Like, getting gear at level 40 may be better than your gear you're getting at level 60. You know, where in D3, level gear at 60 or level 60 gear is always better than level 40 gear. There's no exception.
I think a lot of people are going to be pissed. Well, some people that don't want to switch are going to be quite upset because I think a lot of these systems and end game things that are kind of happening in Immortal is what everyone wanted in D3 and still wants to this day. So it's like a positive, right? Because I feel like that's probably going to pull a lot of people into Immortal. I play D3, right? We'll play D3. It's a lot of fun, but it's kind of old. It's been around. Yeah, there's seasons, there's some changes, but at the end of the day, like, you can't beat, you know, all kinds of end game systems like the Immortal has, and it's going to continue to have, right? This is like, they're just gearing up. There's gonna be monthly bosses. You guys hear that? Like, I'm not to just completely divert the conversation, but the Heliquary is going to have a monthly boss, and there's going to be, you can beat them twice a week for rewards, right? And on top of that, there's going to be difficulties, so you can pick whatever difficulty you want for scaling, and you get the group of people. Yeah.
Nemo, I have a question, and I don't know if you know the answer, but if anyone does, you do. So I know you can pick which level, and you can do this twice, each boss, you know, twice a week. But does it matter which level you complete on first? Like, meaning, can you go do it? I'm sure they're not going to give you that much scoria and let you do just like all 4 difficulty levels, you know, twice a week.
Yeah, I see what you mean. There's not exact specifics yet. Like as far as like, hey, do you want to start with, you know, 4 or whatever it is, or do you have the ability to start with 4, or do you have to clear 1 first? If they make you clear 1 first, I'd say they'll give you the ability to move to the highest, but there's no specifics yet, so we're waiting still.
Do you know if you can transfer legendary properties to set pieces?
No. So set pieces are completely different because they're secondaries, and legendaries only live on your main armor. So your essence transfer event only works for your legendary pieces, the 6 pieces that are on the main set of your armor.
Okay,
And,
that's all I
and
wanted
you can
to
only
know.
transfer it to the same type of piece. So you could change a chest piece to a chest piece, but you can't
Very
do
good,
you know, chest piece to helmet, or, you know, so it's got to be actually stay in the same gear family.
Gotcha.
And then that was the other thing I always kind of wondered, you know, and I'm surprised they didn't actually address it, and I appreciated that they didn't really address it. Was, you know, I always thought it was funny when you do legendary, you know, essence transfers. You know, I find this piece that's got, you know, we'll say the Demon Hunter. Instead of single shot, you get multi-shot enhancements. Or the other one I liked using was the Shuriken. Instead of sending 1 Shuriken around you, it might send 2 or 3. I forget the exact number. If I wanted to keep that ability and put it on better gear, or keep that ability for a better build later on, you could go to the essence vendor and ask them to save it for you, basically. And it was for to me, the low cost of 3,000 gold, which you could get in a few minutes, of grinding out in the world. And you could put it on to any of those same family types, so chess piece for chess piece, as often as you wanted. And I always thought that was kind of a really weird decision, that it's like, oh, I only had to pay 3,000 gold and I can keep using it forever, which was just an interesting decision. And I agree, with Nemo about the set pieces. It would be nice, if you will, that they could do that, and transfer some of those abilities from the arm braces to the next set of arm braces, especially if the gear was better, the stats were better. But I don't think that they would necessarily do that, because then you could run into town, redress your entire self completely new, and run out. Granted, you could do my solution also of, you just save the gear in your stash, but it still is a lot of work to make certain you can grind for all the variety that you wanted.
Unfortunately, I got to roll out. I'll try to be back if they let me leave again for a bathroom break. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in a little. All right. Cheers.
Take it easy,
later.
Nemo.
Have fun.
Later.
Yeah.
So there's definitely lots of little things. Yeah, go ahead, Wad.
No, you can finish. I was going to say Force had a question if you want to catch that.
So yeah, I'm going through that now. Oh, question.
At the end.
Yeah. How many people in total can be shadows or immortals? Because the server, there's going to be lots of people competing for clans. Who's going in these roles? It's one of those, like everything else, there's some things that, as far as I'm concerned, are unknowns for production. And the answers are going to be a little more complex than the number is something. Even as of beta. So, I mean, as far as how many people, like if you're talking on our side, which we kind of talked about at the top of the show, we are trying to keep it as open as possible. If you want to be a shadow, we want you to be a shadow. If you want to be an immortal, we want you to be in the immortals. If you're talking in this server, the way that it worked in alpha and beta, they said that there were 500 immortals, was the max number. So it's up to 500. And then the shadows technically got to the point where it was as many as possible. It was unlimited. At lower levels of shadows, they had smaller numbers, but as the weeks progressed and shadows got more shadowy and did more accomplishments, we could actually increase the roster to an unlimited number. We don't know if that's necessarily going to be the same in production, just because in alpha and beta, it was a person-by-person decision. Wadums could decide to be in a shadow clan, or he wanted to see if he could join the immortals. In this case, now, since we're not doing dark houses, it's now dark clans. The whole clan will compete for shadow, and then the whole clan can compete to be the immortals. So it's one of those, we kind of assume maybe that it's still 500 immortals. And in the past, that would equate to 3 clans in beta. At 150 apiece would be 450 people. But we don't know if that's necessarily going to be true. Again, I already kind of addressed one of the unknowns. Clan sizes might drop to 100 people. So then it might be, 5 groups of 100 or 3 groups of 100. We don't know. I would assume, though, that the shadows are going to be whoever wants to go in. And I think that's definitely the way to do it. And I know, again, we already kind of talked at the top about, the fact that most people will at some way, shape, or form, in some capacity, will likely fall in with the shadows. Just because that opens a lot more doors and opportunities and just adventures, that you'll see, as opposed to the adventurer, unless, rightfully and truly, you're the person that just plays for 10 minutes every day, and that's all you want to do. If we had an adventurer clan, then you could certainly go in for that.
Hey, Red, I was just going to jump in. As of current knowledge for the Immortals, right, one clan is going to win the right of exile and become the Immortals, and they're going to be able to invite 2 other clans to join them as the Immortals. So total of 3 clans, and the number of people depend on clan size at that point, but that's currently what we know for Immortals.
Yeah, that definitely is the knowledge. You're referring to the Dark Clan and becoming the Immortal Clan, and then the Allied clans, or I forget what they termed those other helper clans that got pulled in.
It was like you'd have
back.
the one clan would be like the founders, and then the other 2 would be invited in.
Yeah. And that's, again, going back to that general assumption, that's probably it. And for all intents, that's absolutely the truth. I wonder if they are to change it to, 100 people, 100 heads per clan, maybe they do 5, expand it out to 5 total clans that go in. So the founder and 4 assistants. I'm totally speculating, and that makes it a nice even 500 again.
Yep. I also wouldn't be surprised to see it change, because we've seen it change so much from alpha to beta, and now from what we've even heard, it's changed significantly from beta. So who knows, 6 months from now, they might change it again.
Yeah, hopefully not 6 months from now, but in a month from now, they probably have changed it again. I know I posed, on a side conversation with Wadum, a really good what if, because if they're redoing the cycle and the way they do all the competition, what if they did it this way? And he kind of said to me, he goes, if that could happen and that would be really cool, I don't think people would be able to understand. I was like, what if there was, a bunch of servers, or all, we'll say US East, and what if there's one Immortal clan for all of US East? And then everyone else in US East is in the Shadow Clans, and we're all trying to overthrow. Like, wouldn't that really be cool? I don't think that would happen, but especially, with the way that they are implementing Shadows and Immortals, it's all instanced battlegrounds, instance ordeals. It's certainly possible that they could do that. I don't think they would, but that would really be, something really cool. Because otherwise, if you have, 100 servers globally, that means you're going to have 100 clans that are the Immortal, which is cool, but, wouldn't it be even cooler if I was the Immortal in, US East, and I was the Immortal in US West, and, whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
That would definitely be something to see. And I think they definitely have that opportunity to change. And I think that's one of the really cool things about Immortals. They can definitely approach this differently because they rebuilt the whole thing, or not even rebuilt it. They built a whole new thing. Even when they put it on PC, they're like, no, this is still a mobile game that you're running on PC.
Yep. And well, that's what's cool, right? Because they've talked about how they plan on supporting this for a long time. So that, that whole system may look significantly different in the future than it does even at release.
Oh yeah. No, take care, MP9. We'll be spending this down too. I usually like to go about an hour. It's good for most people. Forrest, I see your question, about becoming the Immortal and being in the Immortals. There's definitely a lot of good meta that can go in around that. I know it's one of those, when Echo Hack did it, he was a Crusader. That was his build of choice, and that's definitely a very versatile build. but it's also one of those, to be the immortal, especially for anything longer than, a 1 week cycle. I don't care who you are. A single person doesn't do it and won't keep it. You need a large group of people around you to help you get there. And you're right. PvP is important. But all of the classes really have good PvP capabilities. And again, when you go back to it's a group orchestration, you need the immortal to have friends that are monks and friends that are wizards and friends that are, just so that you had the capability of mashing it all together. So it's one of those, it becomes, you really have to have a good leader at the top.
You're also going to want a balanced team. I mean, especially when it comes to PvP in that case. I mean, you're not going to want to go into PvP with, say, an entire thing full of barbarians, even though there's been a lot of talk about them being hyped up as the best PvP class. And there's maybe some argument that individually they might be. But you're not going to want an entire team full of them, because a team that's balanced with some CC and some high damage people, along with some barbarians and some crusaders, are going to beat a team full of just barbarians.
Yeah, you throw a couple necros with strategically placed, bone walls, and you get a couple monks with their, shields of Zen. The barbs will have a harder time getting through. And the same thing goes, anywhere else. And even something like, everyone says the wizards are the worst. Well, I still wouldn't go up, though, against a group full of highly skilled wizards. They all start dropping the black holes and everything just vaporizes. It's one of those, there's, again, a lot of orchestration that has to happen. All right. So let's kind of start rattling things down a little bit. If you guys have anything on the stage, if anything to kind of chime in, last minute thoughts. I'm going to look through the Campfire chat. Make certain kind of clear out there.
Only thing I have is, when are we going to see a cow level?
There is no cow level.
Oh, there will be a cow level.
I just wanted to know, there are exclusive cosmetics for being an immortal, right? I remember seeing something about that.
I know while you're immortal, yes, you had capes and wings that you could use as you leveled up.
But that's something as you're an immortal, it doesn't carry over.
Yeah, I don't think it persisted.
Okay, if I was going to do the immortal, I wanted to try to do it at least once, just for cosmetics, because I'm a kind of a cosmetic skins whore.
Well, Cam, if you're referring to the wings you get from being an immortal, is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, I just remember they said something about immortal exclusive cosmetics, and I'm guessing that's wings.
They're talking about the wings you get from becoming an immortal. That's what they were referencing then. You lose those once you fall from immortal status. You don't keep them. But beyond that, I don't know if they'll have more. Who knows? Maybe they will.
All right, that's all I was curious about, was if it was something that lasts forever, regardless if you're an immortal or shadow. I would want to do the immortal at least once, but if it doesn't carry over, then I don't really care.
Yeah. But there's definitely going to be enhancements, as we've seen, that will add to it. So it'll be interesting. So. And then kind of looking through, lots of jokes about the cow level. Darkness throwing in, he wants a kitten level, kill all the cats. I don't know how well that will fly. Kitten's already drafting her response. Spud threw in here, PvP purchase through PvP rewards. I don't know, maybe, yeah, that might be interesting. They certainly do have the ability to add in and precedence of adding in, rewards. I know at the very least with PvP, it was never required. No one has to do PvP in Battlegrounds. But if you did Battlegrounds and you leveled up and you participated and your team won, teams were always random, by the way. You couldn't stack the deck with a bunch of whales to always win. And even then with, Battlegrounds, there was definitely a favored side when you defend or attack the heart, as far as I was concerned. But if you were, did enough PvP, you could certainly get rewards at the end of each weekly cycle. I could almost see something, especially with like the honor or the hilts, where they start doing some rewards like that. And I think we'll see some of those types of things going into the cosmetics too, where, the best PvP person might get a special cosmetic. The one thing I wish they really would do more of, especially in relation to the factions, I really wish they would do some, like, not pay-per-view, but broadcasting, esports style of everything that they're doing in the Kion's ordeal in the Battlegrounds, because like some of it's so interesting to watch. And if I'm just worried about not dying, I don't see anything that's going on. I really wish that they do those things. Or again, Kion's ordeal, only like 60 people ever see it in a cycle. It would be nice if more people got to hear about it. And that's definitely been some of my feedback, is just really selling it so that people can see it. Never know, maybe they will. We'll be surprised. Yeah, so why don't we kind of spin this down? This is always fun to do now that we have an end date. We were doing this during alpha and beta just as a way to kind of hear the normal people, because that's where I'm coming from. I'm nobody special. I don't have a YouTube channel. I don't plan to be around. We'll definitely get this on the agenda as a regular, so keep an eye out on the events ping. We'll send those out when we get the next one scheduled. I don't know if we'll do it necessarily weekly, because it is, it's a lot of fun talking, but especially until the game comes out, we don't always have a lot to talk about. But we'll definitely get something scheduled. These are always fun. This is always a community, and I know, especially in the leadership side, we've heard this a bunch. While the server is the Scrappy Echoes, and we are the Scrappy Echoes clan, or clan family, and Scrappy and Echo are here. This is our community. You guys own this just as much as I do, just as much as Nemo and Echo do. We want you guys all to own everything that we have, and something like this was spun off as an events thing of like, hey, let's just sit around and talk. And it started initially as Wad, Owl, and I literally just up here on ourselves. But then it grows and grows, and it's definitely a lot of fun, and I love hearing your guys' input. And obviously, Nemo pops in. Nemo and Echo will scroll through and read through your comments. But this is something that the community definitely liked having, and we'll definitely keep pushing for it. And then as the game comes out, or as it's coming closer, again, if you guys, want those answers as far as servers and clans and how do I and where do I go, ask us. We don't want to keep secrets from you. It doesn't help the family grow. We want the family to know what's going on as soon as we can. And again, all of our DMs are open. If you ever have questions, and we'll definitely do this again.
Sounds good, Red. Thanks for the talk, man. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, definitely. Wad, Owl, it's always good. Everyone else, I'm glad you were able to join us.
See y'all later.
All right, bye, guys.
Yeah.